Man, it's been a rough going these last 2 months, and I know people are desperate. Well, let's see if them marauders are still over there. Whew, barely got out of that one. Oh, hey. Oh, wow. Dag nabbit. I'm glad to see you made it out alive. Whew. Man, it's 2 months since that Compow EMP attack. Sure has made times tough. Let me tell you, man, I've been busier than a two-dick dog in a fuck contest. But man, these marauders, they just took over my place. Going through my stores right now. I didn't get out with much, but at least I did manage to grab a couple items before they completely overran the place. One of those being the old trusty AR-15. Man, this old beauty here got me out of a bind. But let me see what else we got here. Oh, hey, we got us a pound of pinto beans. So you know what that means, right? That means we're going to be eating real good today. In fact, with this little bag of pinto beans here, why, I can make my shit hits the fan cowboy beans, which is what we're going to be doing today here on Texas Tips and Tricks. Now, the first thing that you got to do to cook cowboy beans is start a fire. Now we got a fire going, got a pan on there. Now I'm going to fill it up with some water. I know, mighty peculiar looking water bottle, isn't it? Well, it's what I had to fill up at the time, so here we go. Might be a little bourbon mixed up in that, but that's okay. All right, now she's in a good rolling boil. I'm going to go ahead and add these beans into here. There you go. Now you can see I just got just about, I don't know, just about 2 inches above the beans there. That's about what you need. And you got to keep that water on top of that. You don't ever want to let the beans go dry. You always want to keep just a little bit of water above them. Now I'm going to let these cook at a rolling boil now for, I don't know, about a half hour. And then we're going to add in the few spices that I got away with. Now, bear in mind, when I normally make my cowboy beans, well, I usually put the bacon and the bacon grease when I cook it up in there. But unfortunately, we don't have any bacon right now because shit has hit the fan. As you can see, that is a hot fire, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see the beans are already starting to swell. It's only about 15 minutes in. So that water's real hot, man. It is hotter than two buzzards fucking in a deer carcass on a summer day in South Texas. Every so often you want to make sure you give it a little stir just to stop the bottom ones from burning. I need to add a little bit more water in here. That fire's real hot. Now these beans have been boiling now for about 25 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and add in my shit hits the fan spices. Now, we managed to get away with just a few of them. Now, the first thing you want to do is get about a teaspoon of garlic powder, teaspoon of chili powder, about a teaspoon of cumin, maybe a little extra just for fun, teaspoon of onion powder. We're getting a little hot, so I'm going to move them a little bit to the side here. We're going to do about 2.5 teaspoons of salt. Teaspoon of black pepper. And lastly, some of this. No, this isn't Leonardo DiCaprio nose candy. It's just plain old sugar. You only want to get about a teaspoon of that stuff in there. Just a little tiny bit. Then stir that around real good. Oh, we got some beans. Beans jumped out of the pot there. Mix that around really good. Let those flavors just kind of meld together now. Now, usually I have some bacon and bacon grease in here, but since I don't want these beans to be super dry or anything, I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil in here, maybe about 2 teaspoons or so, maybe a tablespoon. And that's just going to add a little bit of that creaminess and oiliness to the beans. So these beans now, they've been boiling for about 35 minutes. So what I'm going to do at this point is just keep the fire real small and just let them simmer here for about an hour and a half or so. Now, periodically you got to check them and make sure that they aren't dried out. So just add a little bit of water at a time here. Make sure that those beans stay nice and moist. So these old beans, they've been simmering here for about an hour and 15 minutes or so. But in the meantime, I want to take a little chat about a product that I picked up here. If you like bourbon, I would suggest you try this. Now, bear in mind, I am not endorsed by, paid by, or even sponsored by Driftless Glen. Now, if you are a fan of Garrison Brothers and you like that kind of leathery flavor in your bourbon, which happens to be my personal favorite, but you don't want to spend $80 a bottle, well, I would suggest you pick some of this up. It's a whiskey that's rated 90 points and about $35 a bottle. Darn tootin', it did not disappoint in the least. So, if you like bourbon, pick some of this stuff up. It's pretty darn good. Now, depending on how hard you like your beans, means kind of how long you have to cook them. And bear in mind, I never was like taught how to cook beans. Hell, I just tried it one day just for the hell of it. I mean, it was an interesting thing because I just kept pouring water in, kept boiling the beans, added spices that I thought I would like, and they darn turned out pretty good. So these beans have been kind of simmering here for about an hour and a half or so. And all I keep doing is I keep throwing a couple of twigs underneath the fire here, and that's just enough heat to keep these things simmering. Now, in about, I don't know, maybe about 45 more minutes, these beans will probably be done. Coming up on about 2 hours here with just simmering away these beans. And since I talked about this Driftless Glen, let's go ahead and just pour a little bit in there. Oh, yeah. Can't go wrong with a little bit of bourbon and some Cowboy Beans. So here we are up on about 3 hours of cooking, and I believe these things are about done. Feels just starting to soften up. Starting to get a nice little gravy going on in there. So I think these are about ready to be pulled off the old fire. Got this handy little MSR pot grabber here. Oh yeah, those will be good. Well, here we go, folks. Got about 3 hours of cook time on these babies. They got a nice little gravy to them. And let's take a try. Gotta blow them off a little bit. They're a little bit hot. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how shit hit the fan Cowboy Beans should taste. Well, folks, there it is. Shit hits the fan beans and how to cook on an open fire. And as always, thank you for tuning in here to First in Preparedness. And as always, I'm Cowboy Rent Collins, here to share my Texas tips and tricks with you. And as always, if you are enjoying our content, please feel free to like and subscribe. And as always, hit the bell to be notified when we upload new content.